Red Pill Relationships number 28. I'm a feminist. Buy me a drink?
Dealing with feminists. Wow, there's a relationship issue. Hi, everybody. I'm Paul Elam, voice for men and earformen.com, and soon to be paulelam.com. I'll get more into that as the days progress.
Ooh.
And I am with my very good friend and very noble gentleman, Tom Golden from menaregood.com, as the
Never
hat
good.
says. And we're going to talk today a little bit about dealing with feminists that we encounter in life. And the way I figured it out was that we basically have three areas where the feminism intersects with our lives. God, I hate that fucking word, but I'm going to go with it.
Intersect?
Yeah, intersects. It sounds too much like intersectional.
Just think of sex within.
Yeah, or
Intersex.
intersects. There
Or
we go.
intersex. Yeah.
That's a great way of putting it. But basically, it's going to be in our work environment that we encounter feminists. It's going to be socially that we encounter them, things like parties, social gatherings, other stuff like that. And indeed, finally, in our relationship lives.
Oh
Some of
boy.
us have encountered or will encounter,
And
and we'll have
families.
decisions to make
Yep.
about that. And in honor of the topic, I mean, to start out first, both Tom and I are wearing anti-feminist headgear. If you wear the hats like this, you don't have to listen to the rest of this discussion. It will take care of the problem for you. But like we said, in workplaces, you can't always just, put on a controversial hat or tell people to fuck off or anything like that. Social situations too. You've got a little more flexibility in your personal relationship lives. But why don't we start, Tom, with the workplace? Because I think that's where a lot of guys encounter feminists. And I think that it's an environment that they can't just, even if you're the most hardcore red pill guy in the world, in most work environments, knowing somebody's a feminist is not a reason that you can justify failing to communicate with them, cutting them off. There's parts of your jobs where you've got to interact with these people,
Yes.
and so dealing with them is something that you have to do, unless you, of course, don't value the job. And it's a difference if the feminist is your coworker and the feminist is your boss.
That's correct.
And so why don't we start with the boss situation, Tom?
Yeah. I the first thing that comes to my mind, Paul, is stay on the task. Talk about the task at hand, what your job is, what you've got to do, and stay the hell away from politics, especially gender politics.
Yep. I'm afraid so, man. No NRA or Men Are Good hat for you if your
Mm-mm.
boss is a feminist. And you also, I think, yeah, I can't suggest what everybody should do. I know if I had a job and my boss was a feminist, I would reevaluate whether or not I had to have that job. I would
Yes.
look at different options.
Yes.
But if I had no other options, I would take Tom's advice to the T. No political discussions. Keep your head in your work. But make yourself valuable at
Yeah.
work,
Do a
because
good job.
even if she hates your guts for having a penis, if you're valuable at work, she's prone to accept that and move on. I mean, if she has any sense at all, which most feminists don't.
Unless she hears that you're an MRA,
And then you're done anyway.
then you've had it.
Yep,
You know.
you have,
So,
and you
so
want to be.
that's why just stick with the job. Stick with what you need to do. Get a good evaluation. You know,
And
do
that's
what's
not just
necessary.
MRA. It's if you're MGTOW, if you're red pill in any way, if you're anywhere to the right of Chairman Mao, uh, they're not going to like you.
They're
And
not gonna like you, Paul.
all the more reason to keep politics out of the picture.
Yes.
Um, it's your livelihood, guys. And so I think the best thing you can do, as much as I hate to see it, is why I would look for a different job, why I would look for a change of pace, because the
Yeah.
answer is keep your head down, your mouth shut, and stay out of
Really.
the way.
And know that not only is your boss a feminist, but the HR department is undoubtedly feminist. So
Always.
she's going to get support no matter what.
There
And
is
you're
no such
not.
thing as a non-feminist HR department
I
anymore.
know. I
They
know. It's
are all
crazy.
feminist.
Yeah.
And look, these people have power over your lives, over whether or not you can pay your bills, whether or not you
Exactly.
feed yourself, which is a terrible shame. And again, I'm not going to belabor the point any more than this. It's another reason that I would look at options, alternatives to that, because the idea of going into work every day with your mouth shut, looking over your shoulder, being careful what you say, even being careful about body language and how you look, how you dress and everything, because this is, man, if a feminist sees an NRA sticker or something on your, your car or anything like that, they will come for you. They will absolutely come for you. I have
Yes.
talked to people recently in conversations I can't divulge too much about, but suffice it to say, there are people working in places where they're scared to be who they are
Absolutely.
because their coworkers will go right to HR because they're
Yes.
in an environment that is totally left of center, totally pro-feminist, and if they don't toe the line, they know they got problems. And if you're in that, I feel for you. The only thing I suggest is that you find a way to get out of it.
Yes. And maybe find another company that's more red-pilled.
Yeah.
And find other men who are red-pilled. And that's one of the things that Paul and I are going to be talking about in the future is ways to find other men who are red-pilled. And we're going to try and help with that with a website we're building. So more news about
There's
that in the
lots of
future.
website building going on these
I'm
days.
telling you, Paul, we're building it.
We're building it. And
we're building it. And it's going to be cool. But
now, go ahead.
It's so critical that we find like-minded people to be with, especially when you're red-pilled, because there's very few people out there, and you need to find them and cherish that relationship because it's unusual. I mean, your work probably has some feminist bosses, but most of the blue pill are all around you. They're not going to defend you. They're not going to help you.
No, they'll throw you right under the bus.
Under the bus. Bye-bye.
And keep in mind that, what Tom said is true. There is a thing called red pill isolation. It's something I've written about in the past. And what happens when you take red pills, you're not compatible with 98% of the people you've always fit with in the past. And suddenly you got to start hiding from all those people. It is a very difficult situation. And when you look at Maslow's deficiency needs, what we need in lives in terms of social connection, then you end up with a deficit taking red pills. There's no way around it.
Yeah, it's a lonely place, man. It's a lonely place. And that's why it's good to connect with other red pill people, men or women.
More on that later. Right now, let's talk about the other part.
Which other part?
The workplace companions, who are often a conduit directly to HR.
God, the brown shirts.
The brown shirts, the people that have proxy power over you. And here's the deal. When you're red pill and people find out about it, they immediately have power over you if you're in the workplace.
Yep.
They can go and say, this guy, I saw him reading A Voice for Men. He's a part of that hate group.
Or I felt uncomfortable around him.
Yes.
He scares me.
His NRA hat triggered me.
That's all they got to say.
Yep.
That's all they got to say.
And HR will find a way to get rid of your ass.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So part of it, if you're working, and this is why, Tom, for this part of it, I really strongly, and I know you do too, I encourage entrepreneurial thinking.
Yeah.
In red pill men.
Yes.
We have the internet now. There are tons of ways to look at making a living. There's writing books. There's tons of other things you can do, a million things. And if you develop especially some skills with web development and other matters, e-commerce, things like that, you can do quite well for yourself, and you can tell the world to fuck themselves.
Yes.
Which is a good position to be in.
Yes.
And again, these are extreme measures. What I'm talking about is if you're working in an unfriendly workplace and you're hiding who you are all the time, you might want to start thinking about working for yourself, which means uprooting yourself, finding a new direction. It's a very challenging thing to do.
Yes. It's scary for some people too.
But
but it's worth
Tom,
it.
it's not as scary to me as the idea of being in a workplace where I'm marking my time until somebody finds
Yeah.
out the wrong thing about me.
Yeah, really.
Somebody sees that I liked a Facebook post on men's issues.
Oh God.
That's all it takes.
I know. I know.
Ooh, he liked that Tom Golden guy. Look at him.
Oh, he's a
He's
goner.
dangerous.
Yep.
He's dangerous. He's Elliot Rodger
Yep.
waiting to happen in the workplace.
It makes me
That's
feel uncomfortable.
that is the language they will share about you.
Yep.
And so this is one of those areas, Tom, where just immediately living according to your values, which if your value is to stand up for what you believe in, it can get you in trouble.
Yes.
It's sad.
Silence sometimes can be helpful, you know.
When your paycheck is hanging over your head,
Exactly.
silence better be helpful.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, guys write me all the time saying, how do I talk to people about this stuff at work? Don't.
Yeah.
Don't.
Really.
I
Really.
mean, if you hear one of your male coworkers you have lunch with one day start, talking sort of red pillish, you might be a little bit safer there. But I would be infinitely careful with who I let at my work find out who I was.
Caution.
And again, go for the entrepreneurial angle if you can do it. And
Yeah.
more and more people today have the opportunity to be entrepreneurs than have ever been in human history.
Yes.
You've got that chance. So take your skills and let that make money for you. Okay, that's the workplace covered, which is the most dismal.
I was going to say, that's the worst of it right there.
It is. The rest of it is a little more flexible,
Yeah.
a little less dangerous.
Yes.
Unless, of course, you're really, really dependent on the way other people see you. And if you're really, really dependent on how other people see you in order to feel good about yourself, you might want to check your red pill blood level. Because usually one of the great things that comes with taking some red pills is that you quit giving a fuck what other people think about you. That comes with age, and it also comes with steeping yourself in red pill philosophy and understanding that that's part of the problem, especially for men. We are so dependent on people looking up to us as men, and those people have really fucking sick standards that they measure you by.
Yep.
How much does he sacrifice?
Yep.
How little of his life does he own? Oh, well, he's a great man. That's how people measure you. But Tom, what do you do socially? I mean, I know I was in an Uber with you in Washington, D.C. one time, and the Uber driver just happened to make conversation and asked what we did, and you said we help men and boys. And that's not that guy later on after he dropped me he was a guy who happened to be Muslim going through a divorce, and I sat and talked to him for 20 minutes when the car stopped with him asking questions about how to protect himself.
How about
it's a very interesting conversation. But socially, you're going to have all kinds of opportunities.
Yes.
And so what do you do when you're in a social situation and one of the women says, that Trump is a misogynistic asshole, and the rest of the women at the table nod their heads in agreement?
Of course he is.
Of course he is. He's a misogynist. And of course, when the men see the women do that, they start bobbling, their heads too.
Everyone bobs
they
up
turn
and
into,
down.
Yes, and up and down and up and down. Yes, he's a misogynistic asshole. And there you are.
And there you are. What do you do?
Well, my personal response to that is, man, and he's the absolutely most incredible misogynistic asshole I've ever seen in my life. I hope he gets reelected. I'm going to vote for him. But I've been at this for a while.
Oh,
and
God.
For a lot of people, that takes a little bit of gumption in a social situation to be the one guy standing out.
Yeah. I think a part of what's going on here, Paul, is people need to understand that the way they're going to respond is based on where they are in this whole red pill cycle. And if you're early in the cycle, where you're really fucking pissed off at everything, then your response to that Uber driver or to the person you're talking to is going to be a lot different from someone who's been this way had taken red pills for 5-10 years. So understand that, and understand too whether you will need to pull back a little bit or maybe push forward a little bit, and you'll get feedback from people around you. They'll say, "You're so angry. God, what's wrong with you? You're so fucking angry all the time. I don't even want to be around you. Ooh."
Now, isn't that ironic? Somebody look at you and say, "Man, you're angry."
But they will, Paul. Oh, they will. They'll tell you just that. And in some ways, they're right sometimes, because that's a part of the red pill. I mean, a part of it is at first when you start realizing how we've been screwed over the years, you can't help but be furious.
The red pill rage.
You cannot help but be furious.
Yep.
And so if you're at that point, understand that your response is going to be different from someone else who's been at this for a while. And, that's okay. That's really okay.
And listen, you can own and claim the anger. There is nothing wrong with somebody. Think about how hypocritical it is when somebody's spitting nails at you about being angry. It's absolutely them that's being angry. But, it's perfectly acceptable, depending on your level of certitude about yourself and your boundaries and how good you are with claiming your own life, to say something like, "Yeah, I'm angry. Why shouldn't I be? I've been dealing with idiots like you my whole life." And that makes me angry.
Yeah.
It is perfectly okay to fully own this stuff. Now, if it's a woman who happens to be feminist, that's probably not going to be somebody you're getting laid by tonight.
And there is a price to pay for a strong response. And just know that before you get it, And
at this point, I want to mention something here. I think it's important. I don't want to forget it. Is that just going back to what Tom said about the red pill isolation and the need for us to connect to others of similar thinking. It's one of the things that makes the conferences so magical when people get together. But there is a real need for that. But part of this also, too, must be that you've got to get okay with less affirmation and approval than you've gotten most of your life.
Yes.
You've got to be okay with letting go of something and learning how to rely on yourself for the affirmation and approval. That's one of the most valuable, difficult lessons of the red pill. And I get this from guys I work with all the time. Yes. I don't even know how to talk to my family anymore. I don't know how to talk to my friends. I mean, it's like I feel like I'm in an other world around everybody. And you are, literally.
Yes.
And the answer to that is not to try to get those people to give you what you're used to getting from them.
Right. Exactly right.
That's often the fatal mistake, is like, how do I explain this to people so they won't disapprove of me? So I get that all the time, Tom. They won't like me. They're going to reject me.
Yeah.
You know what? Yes, they are.
Yes. Get used to it and learn how to say, "Aso." What "aso" is, Paul? It's like, it's the Japanese version of "is that so?" or "how about that?" or "really?" I mean, you're not agreeing with them. You're not disagreeing. You're saying, "Aso."
Yeah, like, how interesting.
Yeah, really? Is that what you think? How about that? It's a neutral statement that will not get you into trouble. And if you want to go farther than that, feel free to go ahead and lay them out, But "aso" is a good place to start. Really, that's what I think. How about that? So,
and in the end, though, doing that, they will back off from you too. I mean, it's like people, blue pill people, getting their worldview challenged. Man, it triggers every defense they have ever been able to develop their whole lives.
Yes.
The moment they hear somebody say, "Well, I've rethought this chivalry thing and I think it's bullshit." And which is a totally honest, straightforward, heartfelt sentiment. I feel that way. I've rethought chivalry and I think it's all bullshit. I don't want anything to do with it. But society looks at that. Oh, you hate women.
Yep.
Because if you won't lay your coat down in the mud so a woman doesn't soil her shoes, that means you hate that woman.
They will find a way to make you wrong and make
They
you
will find
bad.
a way. And
so there's no way out. You're going to be bad and wrong. Accept that from the beginning.
Exactly right. Accept it. There isn't not going to be. I mean, one thing you can do is you can give people a link to the Red Pill movie and say, if you want to understand this stuff, here's a good way. And then you got to let go of what happens after that. Some people will watch it, like many have, and said, God damn, I never thought of all this stuff.
Right.
And here they are in a different world. And some people look at it and say, that's the biggest butt crock of bullshit I've ever seen in my life.
Misogynists, woman haters.
If they look at the Red Pill movie and they still think that this is a bunch of misogynistic woman haters and that you're a woman hater for having your ideas, they're never going to get it.
No.
Let go of them.
That's the person to say, also to.
Your siblings,
they're not going to.
Your social group, bye-bye. I mean,
yes. That's a good point, Paul. What you're saying really is make an assessment of whether the person is able to hear you or not.
Yep.
And if the person's able to hear you, then you can give them a different kind of response. If the person can't hear you, it's just, it's worthless. You say, also, how about that? Bye-bye.
I've got a female friend who has told me, I don't agree with about half of what you say, but I do agree with the other half of it. And it's important that you talk about this stuff.
Yeah, good.
Somebody with that attitude I can deal with.
You bet.
And if you can't deal with somebody unless they totally agree with you, then that's something else to look at in yourself too.
Yes.
Because we don't have to agree on everything. But socially speaking, I think that is the first biggest challenge for most people who are freshly red pilled, Tom, is how do they act in their social group?
Yes.
Do you continue to hide who you are and put on an act so that people will accept you? And if that becomes a lifestyle for you, I can only say, I'd suggest checking out your values. Or does your values include being a phony everywhere you go? And if they do, then that wouldn't work for me.
Yeah, and when you move into this red pill stuff, it's time then to shift your social group a bit and find other people who are going to have similar ways of looking at things. That's a whole lot more pleasant, And they're rare though. You gotta look. You gotta find them.
And you got to be willing, I think, sometimes to make tough decisions. I know that, for instance, in your average bar, if you go in there, especially with a younger crowd, I would guess close to half of the women in there, if you ask them, would tell you that they are a feminist.
Probably more than that.
Maybe more than that.
Yeah.
And I also guarantee you that nearly every last one of those so-called feminists would be very happy for you to sit there and buy their drinks.
I was just going to mention that.
Yeah.
I'm a feminist. Buy me a drink.
I'm a feminist. Buy me a drink. Pay for this. Pay for that. Treat me like the princess I am.
Oh,
I need a
God,
man
Paul.
who knows how to treat a woman. By the way, I'm a feminist. Of course, these are hypocritical bitches from hell.
Oh, God, I got to tell you a story. I'm doing this video on do we pamper women? And so I searched on pampering women, and one of the first articles that came up was this woman who says, I'm an independent and strong woman who's fully capable to do all kinds of things on my own, but I still want to be pampered. And that's what we're dealing with, guys. That's it. That's what we're dealing with right there in a nutshell.
And I think that's a good thing to point out too, is that if you got a woman that's saying, I want to be pampered, or a woman that's saying, I'm a feminist, they're the same loser. They're the same loser.
What do you mean?
Well, feminism is gynocentric.
Yes.
So is the traditional shit that's gone off the deep end of, I want equality, I want power, buy my shit. I want to be regarded for my intelligence and my capabilities as a human being, not seen for my body as a woman. Ooh, ish, I wouldn't touch that guy.
Or look at me.
Look at me.
Look at that cleavage.
Look at that cleavage. And then when you look at it, it's, hey, my eyes are up here.
That's right.
That's why I'm sticking my tits out at the world, because I want you to look at my eyes.
Crazy.
That is a mixture of feminist, their bullshit sense of empowerment, which basically means get daddy government to take care of you. That's all that really feminism is. But on the other side of that, you have equally leech-like traditional women who are basically just take care of me, do what you're told, agree with me all the time, and I might open my legs for you for a limited period of time. And that's how a lot of relationships start. But while you're thinking about rejecting hypocritical, idiotic feminists in social environments, you might as well toss in the idiotic traditionalists in that environment too, the one who see you as a utility.
Exactly.
And look, I've said this a million times, Tom. I really believe that the traditional family is what produced the greatest civilization.
You bet.
That ever existed. I firmly believe that that's the key. It's the moral fabric of our society. But they've wrecked, the family courts have wrecked it.
Yeah, that and a lot of other things have wrecked it.
Yes, a lot of things have wrecked it. And among those things is the entitlement of women, which is just absolutely fucking insane.
Off the charts.
It's how these women can look at themselves straight in the mirror and come up with these notions of what they're owed by men and what they're owed by life is just, it's staggering.
It's crazy. Me. It's absolutely insane.
It's why it's important to say that it isn't just feminists that you have to be careful for. I mean, there's feminists, there's women like the ones we just described, there's borderline personalities, there's all kinds of really big landmines to step on.
Yes. And we've trained women now to expect so much, and expect also that men should be the utility. I mean, that's the training they get. And there are very few women and men out there who can really value a man for his being, for what he is, not for what he does. And that's why, this is a huge step for men, is to start valuing your own sense of worth in your own being. Value your own being, because you can't expect someone else to value it if you can't do it yourself, So you've got to start understanding, I have worth just in my beingness, not in all the crap that I do. You have value in that too. I mean, that's okay. But in your own being. And start there, man. Start there.
Absolutely. The first time, it was really an amazing experience. The first time that I rejected a woman who I was attracted to physically, very, very much attracted to, and really wanted to sleep with her. And the first time when her entitlement eventually came out, and it was feminist / traditionalist entitlement all the way, I finally, for the first time in my life, this was in my 40s, I said, no, fuck this. I don't need a woman like you.
Yeah.
Go away. That was one of the most difficult things I ever did, because you have to overcome a lot. If you're really if somebody really turns you on, you got to overcome a lot to shut the door on that. But when I did, I walked away from that, Tom, feeling on top of the world.
How about that?
Absolutely felt like, hey man, I'm taking care of myself.
Yeah.
I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And it's hard.
You were able to go over top of your own programming.
Yep.
And that's what we need to do.
And don't kid yourself. My programming was raging at me.
Yeah. Fucker.
Get your boundaries, man. You're going to think of boundaries at a time like this?
Really?
Yes. And doing that, when you want to get past the rage, the isolation, and learning to depend on yourself, one of the skills you have to have is to be able to reject an unsuitable woman, especially if you find her very attractive.
Ooh.
And of course, that will crush her ego, which she probably has coming.
She will chase you like no one has ever chased you before.
Well, this one that I'm thinking of didn't.
Really?
Couldn't get away fast enough. She was so insulted.
That's different.
She told me literally nobody has ever told her no.
Exactly. Exactly.
I said, well, there's a first time for everything. And glad it was with me.
Yeah, really.
The last area where we talk about dealing with feminists is in our personal relationships. I mean,
Yes.
like physical entanglements. I don't like the word romantic relationships because I think romance is bullshit. But our relationships, sexual relationships with women, we got to encounter feminists sometimes.
Yes. And our families too.
Now, I think, to be perfectly frank, that one of the hats I'm wearing or one of the ones that Tom is wearing probably screen that out from the beginning. I don't see many feminists wanting to be with a card-carrying NRA member, and certainly not with a man who thinks men are good.
Exactly.
Because they know that that's not true.
Indeed, they do.
And that's some important thing to remember. Look at what Tom's hat says. It says men are good. The most innocuous, simple truth that you can speak. It's not wired to be offensive to anybody. There's no malicious intent behind it, but simply making the statement that men are good, I would estimate would run off half the women in this culture.
It pisses them off, Paul.
Yes, it does.
Trust me, it pisses them off. And that's good. Piss off the right people, and then the ones who aren't pissed off will still be around.
Yep.
That's okay. That works.
So it's almost like a joke, but it's true. The hat is an instrument that can be used to that
Yes.
effect. Also saying it. One of the ways that I firmly believe in testing women will always give you a shit test about men and women. They almost always, they'll say something, well, men. And in those situations, I'm a firm believer in saying, no, I don't know. Why don't you tell me about me?
Yeah.
And let's see what you got to say.
Yes, that's good. That's a good strategy. I like
And
that.
if she sounds like a bigot, she is one.
Yeah. Put her cards on the table.
Put her cards on the table.
Put them right there.
Some guys marry feminists.
Yes.
I've known a few guys that did that.
I've known a number of guys who do that.
Even Bill Price, the guy way back in the day that had the Spearhead website.
Yeah.
That was for its time, it was a great website, lots of good content on it, lots of pro-male, anti-feminist stuff. The guy that founded the Spearhead and ran it eventually shut it down and married a feminist. So it does happen.
What?
All I can say to you, turn your man card in, it's over.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the things I've noticed, Paul, is that in relationships, it's usually the man who realizes the red pill stuff before the woman.
Always, yeah.
And so there's this friction that goes on between the man and the woman about his ideas and about her perceptions of his ideas. And what I've noticed is there are sort of, what would you call them, phases that we go through with this. At least it happened with my own family, with my brother and sister and mother. And my father was pretty much an MRA, even though he died in 1994. He was an interesting guy. And the phases start off with disbelief. I mean, people can't believe that you would think something so freaking stupid,
Yep.
And then I've noticed people get angry. And this may take years. This could happen, over a long period of time. But first, it's kind of like the grief thing. You get shocked, and then comes this anger piece. But then after that, there comes a time when they will almost tolerate you, but they're laughing at you behind their back or behind your back.
Yep.
And I've seen this over and over again. It's like they passed that phase where they started thinking, well, maybe he's a little bit right. But they don't tell you they're laughing, but they're laughing. I've seen that over and over again. Until finally, after that, they start asking questions. This is kind of the question phase.
And they're bargaining when they do that.
No, that's a good point. That's a good point.
What about this or that?
Yeah. And they start asking questions. It's at this question phase that people are open then to be able to hear the message in a different kind of way. Before that, it's pretty much lights out, you know? But what I found is just speaking my truth in a way that can be heard, even if they don't like it, you know? Not being real aggressive or nasty in what I say. Just say it over and over again. Say the same things and point out in the paper that, you know, look at this, look at that. And after a while, after they start asking you questions, the next phase is they start bringing you things. They say, wow, I saw this. Is this what you're talking about? Damn straight, that's what I'm talking about. You know, so it's this progression that you can notice when you're in it that may help you to kind of tolerate the sorts of behaviors you're going to see.
It'll be similar to the process that you went through.
Which one?
The process that we all go through with.
Yes.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm saying this is generalizable.
And anger and bargaining and all those questions come up just exactly in the same style that you mentioned.
Yes.
So it should be easy for guys to identify with because they've been through it themselves.
Yes. And it may take a long time. I mean, we're talking years, like 5, 6, 7 years. And it may take shorter time. It may be in 6 months to a year. So just keep your eyes open for how the people in your group, your spouse or your brothers or sisters or whatever, just watch how they react to what you're saying and see if it doesn't shift over time. And in the meantime, detach. Don't let their response get you upset. Stay detached and sit in your truth, knowing that you got it right, which you do. You got it right, boss. Just sit in that and don't feel like you have to change their minds.
That is huge.
Keep saying your truth, pointing it out. Oh boy, I saw this thing in the paper the other day about men. Looks pretty bad. You know, I mean, just matter of factly, I keep seeing these things. And, you know, they'll roll their eyes. Oh, here he goes again. Can we do this another time? Blah, 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 blah. But that's all right. You know, just keep at it. Don't get upset, though. Don't get jacked up.
Well, there is nothing that speaks of personal security more to me than a guy with a point of view who doesn't give a flip whether or not I agree with him.
Exactly.
That lets me know somebody's secure in who they are and what they believe.
Go back to the ASO. Oh, is that so? How about that? You don't agree with that? Yeah, how about that?
And also keep in mind that if you're married, if you happen to be married to an independent, strong, feminist woman who's empowered, if you ever get divorced, she'll show up in fucking pigtails to the court hearings. And a little girl's dressed and, gee, I don't know what to do. I'm so that's what you will see. That empowered feminist that you were married to shows up in court with a lollipop, begging the judge to please save her from the bad man. Every neotenic feature she can enhance.
That's what I was going to say.
That will be happening with you because guess what? When it gets down to it, there's no such thing as a feminist. This definition of I'm a super empowered, capable, I'll do everything on my own. I change my own tires. I build my own homes. I do everything, you know. Where is this woman? Where is she? I don't know where she is.
My wife's pretty close to that.
Well, there's women. There are some, but they're not. She's not a feminist.
No, she is not.
No, she's not. No,
by a long shot.
I saw all kinds of women. I've been to Alaska a few times, and I saw lots of women that you knew damn well if the truck tire on a Mack truck went out, they could get out and change it. You don't hear any of them ever talking about feminism. They're too busy fucking working. I'm talking about the ersatz.
No, you're right. I'm with you.
Feminists in this culture that talk about how empowered they are, and you get them 3 feet outside of an air-conditioned office and they start moaning and bitching and crying and don't know what to do. It's like, oh my God, man. And if you marry that, shame on you.
But remember, if she is a strong feminist, she's got a vested interest in maintaining her worldview, because her identity is revolving around this worldview. So when you say something that cracks that globe, you're creating trouble for her identity. This is not just an idea. This is something that's going into her inner being, where she's feeling threatened by that. So just know that, what we assume is just the real world, to them is like a threat. It's like a threat. You're threatening their being. You're pushing a saber into their gut, So,
and it lets you know just how insecure they are about
they can't handle it.
Prick it with a pin, and they're like a balloon with a hole in it that starts going around in circles in the room. They lose it completely because they aren't secure in their beliefs. They know that they're not empowered individual strong women that can do anything men can do. They know that shit's wrong when they say it.
Elizabeth Nicholson, who said,
nobody challenging it.
You can't handle the truth.
Oh shit. And if there's anything that
I love that guy.
Handle, what Tom and I have found out over the past 10, 15 years, the truth is not on the list of things feminists can handle. It's not.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
They are totally insecure.
Oh,
it's like really insecure. You've met really insecure Christians who have to save everybody around them. Yes. They have to get everybody around them to mirror back their belief system, or they don't know what to do.
Yes.
They're compelled to do that. And that's exactly what feminists do, just like evangelicals. They're like, you must believe this, or, and of course it models religion in a lot of ways. So my suggestion, man, don't marry a feminist.
Yeah, and don't be that girl.
Don't even get married, really. But if you have to marry somebody, please screen the feminist out with the other losers, because that's right where they belong. They are weak, sick people, and they're often very hateful.
That is for certain.
It's not a joke.
The hate part.
They're hateful, they're weak, they're often incompetent at anything. You're talking about a whole class of feminist women who believe that a humanities degree and an unemployment slip is a sign that they've made it in life. They absolutely have no skills. They take bullshit college courses so that they can hopefully one day get a master's degree and teach other people the same bullshit college courses.
And their hate is spewed via relational aggression, which is easy to deny. It's easy to say, I didn't mean to do that. That wasn't
what kind of aggression was that again, Tom?
Relational aggression.
Relational aggression.
Yeah, baby.
What does that tell you? Might help guide your decisions. Feminism is an ideology that is spread through relational aggression.
Yes, exactly.
And reinforced through relational
aggression. That's the way they've gotten everything.
And if you think you're going to marry one of those idiots and not have relational aggression in your relationship, you've got a very, very, very big disappointment headed your way.
Yes, you do.
Bottom line,
take care of yourself.
Bad. Take care of yourself. If you're taking care of yourself, you're not going to have anything to do with a feminist.
No, you have worth.
Yep.
You have worth just in being yourself, man. You're a good man as you are.
And that alone, you're conducting your life in a way that reflects that you have self-respect, will run most feminists off.
Yes, yes.
They don't need men with self-respect. They don't have any. They need pets.
Yeah, there you go.
White knights and male feminists who are sycophants that just adore everything that comes out of feminist mouths and stand by God, them and their man bun say it's right. Anyway.
Are we about finished, Paul?
I think we pounded this subject enough.
I think so too. It's been fun.
If it wasn't plain, don't hook up with a feminist.
Yeah, and if you do, be careful.
Yeah, don't blame Tom or Paul if you do.
They wouldn't do that.
Yeah, they wouldn't do that. No. Anyway, been a great discussion for Red Pill Relationships.
And thank you all for your support. We appreciate it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for supporting the work that we're doing with this.
Good deal.
And
So
there's a link below, by the way, if you would like to join us at Regarding Men. There's a newsletter that comes out once a week, or at least most weeks.
If Tom doesn't forget to send it out.
If Tom doesn't forget to send it out, it comes out.
It was all finished.
But in the future, the regardingmen.com site is going to host these discussions, my new content, a whole lot more. We're really excited about what's coming in the days ahead.
Indeed.
So if you haven't already, go to regardingmen.com and sign up for the newsletter. That's going to be your first source on all details about this.
And if we get booted off of YouTube, you can find us there.
And you can find these discussions, or you will be soon, on Vimeo, because we now have a Vimeo channel.
No, you won't be able to find it on Vimeo, but you will be able to find it on Regarding Men. But that's a long story.
Well,
that's a long story.
That's a long story. Tom knows.
And we'll
more
let that
than I
one
do,
slide.
obviously.
We'll let that one slide for right now. But it's been a good discussion, Paul.
I made a mistake. Excuse me.
Oh, no.
Oh,
30 lashes, bitch.
It's the first one since 97.
97? That's not bad.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Well,
all right,
97, I really didn't make a mistake, but I thought I made one. And that was a mistake.
What'd you do?
Well, I thought I'd made a mistake, but I really
But you didn't really.
But I didn't really. But that was a mistake. Anyway, enough of my bullshit.
Get out of here.
Get out of here.
All right, we'll see you. Y'all take care.
Bye-bye.